do some support for this bottom because it's not resting level. When I do get it level, these feet aren't touching in the back. Sorry for the flashing on the camera. That light over here just makes the sensors go crazy on the GoPro, so it's kind of causing the video to flash, so sorry about that. But I think I'm gonna try to, they've done a pretty good job under here of putting some support and wood and stuff. It's a lot better than some I've seen. But it's got some plywood here and here and here. You know, it's got the whole bottom covered in plywood. But I'm gonna try to put some support under here just in case. And I think I'm gonna put something here and there. And then there's probably about 1/4 of an inch in here all the way across. And I wasn't sure what to put in here, and I know that some people use like mortar and stuff, but if the mortar's not done right, you do damage to it. Pretty much what you're trying to prevent, the cracking and everything else, if the mortar's not done right. And I know some people use foam and stuff, and I don't want to use foam because if it expands too much, it could crack the bottom. I may use a tiny bit of foam, I'm not sure though. But I got some 3/4 inch plywood that's going to go under here, so that's going to leave probably from here over, it's going to leave maybe 1/4 inch gap. So I got some material in here. I got some real thick foam that I'm probably going to put between the plywood and the bottom, and I got some 1/4 inch material, and I thought about using some hardy backer siding, the concrete board that's 1/4 inch thick, and gluing it in here in these spots to level everything out. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with it right now. So over here, like I said, these feet, they're different sizes. The one in the back is larger than this one, and the one in the back does not touch, so I'm gonna have to shim it after it's in there. But on this side here, I got this piece here that actually the foot on this side closest to me is actually resting nice and flat on this, and this piece here actually makes it good and level. Like I said, over here, over there on the other side, I have to shim it after it's installed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 3/4 inch plywood, and I'm going to place it here. If you can see, I'm going to place it here all the way across for this to make up for the gap between the floor and the bottom. And there should only be about maybe 1/4 inch left for me to fill. So I'll probably do that, probably put some of the foam or either some of the hardy backer material in there since it's cement. And I kind of give it support, and I think I might go around some of the edges and stuff with some foam. Just not get it in there to where it expand too much. So I got some of the 2 pieces of the 1/4 inch hardy backer cement board in. I glued them in and then let them dry a little bit, and then I took foam, if you can see up in here, took foam, sprayed foam in all the little cracks and stuff where the curve of the bathtub is in the bottom to give it a little more support, and it helps stick some of the backer board up in there too. But then I also took some of the home repair, which is basically nothing but Bondo, just like I use on the cars and stuff. It's just body filler. And I put it around the edges and stuff. I'm not really worried about it being smooth because once everything's done, it'll all be covered up anyway. But I have an idea of how I'm going to do the base now. But this Bondo, this home repair Bondo is what they call it from Lowe's. It's basically the same thing as body filler. Uses the same cream hardeners, the red, the white, the blue, whatever will work. It's all basically the same. They just put different labels on it. But I've been doing like restoration, repair and stuff 25 plus years. And I've also done like fiberglass work on big rigs for a few years, and I also did like I built yachts for Tiara Yachts and Lazara Yachts. And I actually did this is what I did for a living, is fiberglass repair, gel coat, all that other good stuff. So I know that the Bondo and stuff is good It's what we used to repair the gel coat with before we put some new gel coat on top of it. But it works really well. It works really well with fiberglass, and it doesn't get too hot, so it works really well. Okay, we're going to jump forward here a little bit. Everything was so cramped, there's no way I could record anything. But I have the shower installed. It's all bolted in. And it actually worked out really well on this side. I actually wanted to bring this wall out another 3/4 of an inch, because those 3/4 inch strips wasn't enough to really cover those pipes and stuff up with drywall. And I was going to have an issue down here when I put the drywall in. So it worked out really well to put a 3/4 inch strip in here, if you can see. So that actually brought this wall nice and level. Everything's good and level on both sides. Screwed everything in at the top on the studs. And I used probably like 3-inch screws, so they went really deep in the studs. Got the drain installed, the vent installed. I'm starting to do the faucet and the shower head and the controls and everything now. I'll show you what I did over here. And from the previous video, I put the pieces of hardy backer in those little 1/4 inch gaps under the bottom and glued them on, and then put a little bit of the Bondo and the cracks and everything to smooth everything out. And what I did was, like I said before, I put this here down. It's 1/2-inch plywood that had the feet resting on it. One of the feet actually fell off, and I had to fiberglass it back on. So that was for the feet, and then there was still like 1.25 inch gap between the floor and there, so I put a 3/4 inch piece of OSB in there. And I went around and filled some of the cracks and the corners and stuff you see in here before I did the floor. And I did it all the way around, and the cracks in the back. So I put a couple of 3/4 inch strips down in front of the sheet of plywood to give it a little more support. And instead of using like the insulated foam, I decided to go with the spray foam. And the way I did it to keep it from expanding too much is I went in and I started on the far side. It took about 4 cans, but I took, and I had the shower lean forward with someone holding it, so it was in place. So all we had to do was drop it. But I started on the other side and did a bead, a constant bead, all the way across until I got to this side. And it's probably about, what, 2 foot wide, maybe a little bit more. But the stuff stays wet long enough, and I'm not worried about expansion and stuff, because I know some people said that if you do it wrong, you could crack the bottom or warp the bottom and stuff like that because of the way it expands. Well, the way I did it, I did a complete bed across there. It's probably about 3 inches, 4 inches thick, and I gave it like 5 to almost 10 minutes to expand as much as it's going to expand, but it was still wet. And once I thought it was ready, we just set the tub down on top of it and squished it down on it, and it squished out the sides. And then I put everything into place, and I bolted everything in, made sure everything was level and stuff. And I sprayed some more foam around these corners and stuff, because I think when I tested everything out, I think these corners here was like the weakest parts on the whole bathtub. So I wanted to make sure that these corners were good and secured and supported. The only thing I don't like is that I couldn't get more of the foam in there, but I think it'll be alright because there's so much foam underneath it. There's not going to be much weight on those corners, so I think we'll be good. But of course everything didn't work out with the plumbing like I wanted it to. I had to end up cutting some stuff back and putting it in at an angle, and it actually kind of worked out pretty good. You can see it's at an angle, but everything lined up before I put the shower in, of course. But once I had it all in and before the foam dried, I wanted to get some of the plumbing and stuff in, so I glued everything in, and of course it was a little too far to the left. So the drain is at a little bit of an angle, but it's good. And what I did is just come up with this vent and just did a little S curve and come up for the vent. So it all worked out pretty good. And I'm gonna put an access panel here to keep an eye on all this and make sure nothing's leaking. And they can also keep some damp red. There'll be plenty of room for them to put a little canister of damp red down in here if they want, you know, suck up any condensation or anything. And I think it all worked out really well. I got to get it all boxed in. So I did a water test. Everything was good. I've been taking a shower in here for the last 2 days to test everything out, make sure everything's good. Get everything installed. And I just gotta have this wall screwed in here for now. It's not nailed in because I wanted to give them some time to make sure everything was working good. Had one little leak back here. Tighten that fitting up and it stopped. But basically what I did is I took a 2x4 and slid it a little past the stud. I'm gonna put a little 3/4 inch strip here to match this. Bolted the shower up to it. And then made the wall frame. I'm about to kill myself on that stool. But basically what I did was I made these 2 studs here, and I lined these panels up here with the holes that I drilled. So I put 3 panels on there. And after I had it all in there, I took the screws out, put 2 screws on each side on the top and the bottom just to hold it into place where I needed it. And I went around on the other side from where I drilled my holes. I took a long drill bit and I came through the other side dead center. I had to redo that one. But I came through on the center to mark where I needed to center the fitting. Same thing with the top. That way I could get a good idea of where I needed to be. Those were pretty simple, but this area here, I had to, actually I made this panel a little bigger so I can move it left and right, up and down wherever I needed to do it to center that controls and stuff in that hole. But all of that's done, and today I'll probably be nailing this in, finishing up a little bit of stuff up here, little braces. And I'm taking out these other 2 pieces of drywall up here, taking out the old light they had in here. I don't know why people use those things. It's the red lights for heat, and then got a fan right beside it to suck it straight out, so it really does no good. But I'll be taking both of these out. Got a new fan to put in here. It's actually a fan with a LED light ring, and it actually has a Bluetooth speaker in it. But I'll be taking that out today. And we'll be removing the toilet today, removing the rest of this floor, removing this little section here, and I'll be putting the floor joist in, the rest of them, the floor and the toilet back in, hopefully by the end of the day.